Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this simple tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create a simple digital clock using JavaScript. So we are not going to be writing the CSS, I'll just give you the files, but the most important part is JavaScript, because if you can really create this in JavaScript, then the design will be your own choice. So I'm going to save this so that we lose everything here. So we're just having a simple markup here. We're having a div with a class of container, and inside that div we have the h1 digital clock, the one you're seeing on the screen, and the div with the ID of clock. Very simple. So this is the markup. The div, this parent div will be used for styling. This one tells you what's going to be on the screen, and this is the most important div. It's the one that we are going to be injecting the markup from the JavaScript side. So the div with the ID of clock. As you can see here on my left hand side, I have 3 files. Index.html is the one that you're seeing right now here. It's the one holding the markup. Then style.css, I'll just take you through the design in case you want to see. Then app.js is completely empty because it's it's the area that we're going to be writing the back end for this program. It's like, okay, it's a front end, but what runs the digital clock is going to be inside this. And what we are going to do first, you always have to listen for the document load. So is everything loaded on the page for us to execute this JavaScript file? So you write document document.add event listener. So, and the event that we want to listen to is called the DOM content loaded, and after there you're passing the callback function. So I'm going to be using arrow functions, but you can write the regular function that you always write. Let me pass this explorer. So this is the simple syntax. So you say document.add event listener, and the event that you want to listen to is DOM content loaded. Then if everything is loaded, then the code that is going to be inside here will be executed. So you have to always listen to this when you're writing your JavaScript files. It's not mandatory, but it's a good practice to do. The first thing that we're going to do, we need to get access to this div. Remember the div with the ID of clock. So we need to be having access to that div. I'm going to create a simple variable here. So const, and I'm going to call it clock div. And I'm going to assign it to document. I always misspell this word. Document dot query select. I'm going to use this. I'm not going to use the get element by ID. I'm just going to say query selector, and we want to get the element with the ID of clock. So guys who always use the jQuery, you write it like this, but even right now in vanilla JavaScript you can easily select that element using this hash or pound symbol. So we have access to that element, and the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to create a simple function that we always run every after 1 second. To do that, we need to create the function first. So I'm going to create a function. You can call it anything you want, because these are user defined terms or keywords or text. So I'll just say const timer. So this is user defined, it's not compulsory that you need to call it that. And I'm going to use an arrow function here. And inside here I want to get the date object first, and to do that I'm going to store it in a variable called now. So it will be getting the current date, the time, and the time zone. So we are going to assign that to the new date object. So you do it like that. Then let us first console out that variable that we created, console.log now, and this is going to give us a long string of date and time. So press Ctrl Shift I on your keyboard, or Command Shift I if you're using Mac, when you're in this side in the browser, not in the text editor, and they will bring you to the console. Oh, for us to be able to see this date object, we need to call the timer function first. Sorry, I always forget that. Timer, then here execute it. So this is what they are returning back. I'm in East Africa, Uganda. So the most important area that we want is this. So the section of the time, as you can see, every time I refresh, look at the seconds, refresh 16, stuff like that. So we need to filter out these three sections, so the hour, the minute, and the second. Let's take out this console.log, and the first thing that we want to get is the hour. So const hour, and we are going to assign it, not to say. So now, so remember this one has the all object, as you can see here, to return back the full date object. So we shall say now dot get hours. So we want to get the hours, and that one will give us the hours. And second, say const. So these are variables, you can call them anything you want, but I want it to be specific. So we are getting minutes, let us use minutes. So minutes, and we assign it to now dot get minutes. So that's the method that we want. So that one will get us the minutes. And lastly, we want to get the seconds. So const seconds, and we assign it to now dot get seconds. So these are the methods that we need access to, and we have now access to this, because the moment you write this, you'll be having access to all these date object methods or functions. That's great. So let me first console out the seconds so that you see. No, let us first wait on that. Then we are going to bring in what they call the set interval. And what this method or function does, it's a function, it always calls a specific function, so like a defined function, every after some specified time in milliseconds. Let me show you what I mean. So what you do, right, set interval, and this one we are going to, it takes in a callback function. So what happens when you call that? So we shall use again our arrow function here, put in the curly brackets there, and we're going to put the code inside there. And it's very, very simple. So we need to call this timer every after some specified time in milliseconds. So I'll say timer. So here we are executing the timer code, but every after what time? So you just put here comma, say 1000 milliseconds. So these ones be in milliseconds, and that is 1 second. So 1000 milliseconds equals to 1 second. Let us first console out here, console.log seconds. Refresh that. You can see 38, 39, 40, 41. So what they are doing, they are calling this function every after 1 second. Very, very simple. So the rest we are going to be injecting it in the browser. So what we are having here, we need to inject it in the DOM, stuff like that. You can see it's going back like that. Let us take out this console.log. So what you're going to do is create another simple variable, const, and I'm going to call it markup because it's going to be HTML. So markup, and I'm going to use the template literals. So the backticks, use the backticks here. And if you're struggling to find them, look above the tab keyboard. So these arrows on your keyboard, so they are backticks there in front of the one and down below the escape button. So those are the tab ticks. Sorry, not the tab ticks, backticks. sorry. So here inside here we are going to put our markup, and the markup, they are going to be spans, the span elements. Forgive me in case you hear the noise in the background, somebody's banging the door. So I'm going to copy this 3 times, and for us to get access to these variables that we created here, remember we have not yet touched this, you're going to use it very soon. And here we shall say $sign and 2 curly braces, so the curly brackets. Then we call the hour variable, hour variable. Then again here the same, you have guessed it right, minutes. And lastly we get the seconds. So right now we have access to this markup. Then let us inject it in the DOM. So inside this div that we created with the ID of clock, remember we accessed it here and stored it in this variable. So below here shall just say clock div. So that's it. And so dot inner HTML, and we assign it to the markup. So it's the markup that we want to inject here. We are going to say markup. Very simple. As you can see, we're having it here. Let us put these 4 colons. Also refresh, and we're having them there. But now there is some challenge. Let me compare it to the Windows. You can see Windows has 0 prefixed in front of the minutes when they are less than 10. You can see, but for us we don't have a 0 until it clicks 10. So we need to provide some conditions that when the seconds are less than 10, then we should be able to prefix here a 0 so that it doesn't be 6, stuff like that, as the default Windows timer does. So to do that, it's very simple. Now let us talk about the ternary operators. Let me first show you the syntax for the ternary operator. You start with a condition, then start with a condition, then a statement which is true, and lastly if it's false, like that. So we shall say, if let's say hour is less than 10, then do this, else do this. Oh, it's not about being true and false, but stuff like that. You can say, if the hour is less than 10, do this, else if it's not, then leave it the way it is. Very simple. So that's the shorthand if statement in this case. So here we are going to say, if hour is less than 10, so if hour is less than 10, then you put the question mark. We shall just prefix a 0 there. You say 0 plus then hour, else just leave it the way it is, hour, stuff like that. So this is the condition. As I said, condition first. So if hour is less than 10, then we shall concatenate on 0 to the hour, else leave it the way it is if it's greater than 10. And the same thing that we're going to do for the minutes. If minutes are less than 10, then we shall concatenate on a 0, so 0 plus minutes, else leave it the way they are, the minutes. Same applies to the seconds. Seconds are less than 10, then we shall say 0. So when I save, they are going to rearrange. Don't worry about. I have a prettier extension installed, else leave it the way they are, stuff like that. So when the seconds are less than 10, then prefix a 0 on the seconds, else they are not less than 10, leave them the way they are. So as you can see here, it's now the same with the Windows timer. So we have a 0 there when it's less than 10, else then just put the seconds. So right now they are here where you see my mouse. So if stuff like that. Then for the styling, let me just go and link to the file. I already have some defined rules there inside. Just cross the console, then let me link that, the page style.css, and we're having that. So here in the style.css, on the border I just removed all the margin and the padding. Then I set the background color. You can easily change it here, stuff like that. Then for the h1, I just gave it the color of tomato, gave it an underline. Then for the container, this one, it's the one I used for centering this clock, and I used Flexbox to do that. As you can see in the style sheet, I used display flex. Let us do reverse engineering. You remove that flex direction, and this is how they will be looking like. So they will be in a raw format, but you tell Flexbox that please, I want it to remain in the column way. So flex direction like that. That's file content. It's the one used to center stuff in the content, not in the content, in the center, sorry. Then for the right now, if I remove the height, it will be there, and add it there back. It's the one responsible for centering it there. And for this one, it targets this div with the ID of clock and sets everything that is inside it white. Gave it a font size of 2 rem. Then for the span, so this is the background color that you're seeing for the span elements. I gave it a border radius of 50%, the circle. If I remove it, this is how it will be looking like. Put it back, that's how it looks like. For the background, if I remove it, reverse engineering. So you go on, design it the way you want. The choice is yours. So guys, if this tutorial was useful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, and I'll always see you in the next tutorials. Peace.